Hey guys, Koukun here. Today I'm here at a property on the West Hamilton Mountain. This is in a premium area and it's a property that one of Ryan's clients purchased that has multiple exit strategies, including either as a flip, a duplex, or a triplex conversion. Let's go check it out. All right, so Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about this area and why the client decided to purchase this property in this area?
For sure. Yeah, so we're in like the upper West Hamilton Mountain here. So one of the premium areas in Hamilton. One thing that's really nice about that is if you do decide to keep this property, you're going to get your top rents, both for your basement as well as your upper and potentially the third unit if you went that way. Additionally, there's lots of sale prices here above $1 million. So, to be able to purchase something and then be able to put some cash into it and to be able to come out with about 100,000 of equity if you're doing something like a duplex, that provides a lot of value because the area is so attractive for either renters or end users.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So what purchase price did your client buy this home for? What are we thinking in terms of reno budgets? And what do we think in terms of ARVs for the different scenarios?
For sure. Yeah, so client bought this for $760,000. To do a duplex conversion, you're going to be looking at around 125 here. Main floor is in good shape, just need some light touch up and the full basement. If we want to do something like we'll talk probably a little bit about later with the third unit connected on, you're going to be looking at an additional 250 on top of that. So that would be a rental budget of about 375. When we're talking about kind of exit strategies, if we do this as a duplex, there was a recent sale not too far from here that sold for a little over $1 million, about $1,050,000. And there's some other duplexes in the area that are a little over $1 million in that $1,025,000 to $1,050,000 range. For triplexes, there are almost no triplexes in this West Hamilton area. So in terms of a sale side on that, gets a little bit tricky, but obviously above what the duplex sale is, and you'd be kind of setting the market. But in terms of rental side, that's where you'd really start to kick it in for the triplex.
And let's talk a little bit about the rental side. So a property like this, you're getting premium tenants paying premium rents. Like there are people who earn good incomes who need or want to live here that they themselves can't afford to buy properties, so they're willing to pay extra. What are we thinking in terms of rental rates for the different scenarios?
For sure, yeah. So I think they're gonna do this main floor like pretty nice. So they should be able to get around 2,700 plus hydro for the main floor here. Basement level, again, going to be brand new, really nice. Should be around 2,000 plus hydro. And if we are to do the garden suite or attached garden suite in the back there, we're going to be looking at around 2,300 plus heat and hydro for the third unit.
Okay, well, those are some really good numbers. And the curious part that we were discussing just a second ago is when it comes to garden suites, and in this particular property, I would recommend doing a garden suite that's attached to the property so that on the appraisal, you don't have all the issues of a detached suite. The curious part is your cost stays about the same as in the Niagara region, about $250 for a unit, maybe a little bit less than that, but your rents are much higher. So the return on that investment is actually significantly higher.
Yeah, one of the nice things is like if you can be in an area like this, basically the land value, the home construction cost the same in Niagara and Hamilton, but our land value is much higher here. So anytime we can take something like this where we can make it a duplex and have it basically break even as a duplex, adding that third unit is really gonna make those numbers look great because we're getting so much more in rents, and that land value that we've already factored into our initial duplex cost is basically just being gravy on top for the additional unit there.
Awesome. So let's go down to the basement and we'll discuss a little bit about the cash flow numbers once we're down there. We're in the basement of this property and we have these amazing ceiling heights. So you can see here, I'm 6'3". This is probably north of 7.5 feet probably, which is great when you want to make a premium basement apartment. So talk us through what's the kind of plan for this particular space?
For sure, yeah. So this is going to be a 2-bedroom, I believe 1 bathroom, lower unit here. Like you said, some things that are going to make it really premium are 1, the ceiling height that we currently have, and then 2, they're going to make all these windows enlarged. So in a basement, one way to get your highest rents is to make it not feel like a basement, right? So by having lots of natural light, having good ceiling heights, and then bright finishes, that's really going to allow you to generate the top end rents for a basement unit.
Yeah, and especially in this neighborhood, it's worth it to go that little bit extra, make it as bright as possible, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Like people will pay to be here, right? So, you could maybe get a main floor or an upper level unit in Lower Hamilton for the same price, but people want to be here in this West Mountain for the neighborhoods, the parks, the schools, everything like that. So making it a really nice unit, even though it's in a basement, you will get that return.
Awesome. So let's talk to the strategies if this investor were to keep the property. What kind of cash flow numbers are we looking at based on those rents you described, for a duplex or a triplex?
For sure, yeah. So as a duplex, we're going to be pretty much breaking even, might be losing, $100, $200 a month. But for being here in the West Mountain, for having these elevated interest rates, if we're able to basically have something that's breaking even with these high interest rates, it's a pretty decent investment because obviously, one, this area is appreciating over time. And then two, as rates come down and as rents continue to go up, that spread's going to get bigger, and over time it will start to cash flow much better. When we go into the third unit, that's where things start to look really good. A little bit more capital involved, but even at these higher interest rates, we're gonna be looking at around $900 a month in cash flow, right? And that's at those higher interest rates. So again, as rates come down, rents go up a little bit, you're just gonna be really sitting on a cash cow. So
and with the triplex direction, 2 out of the 3 units won't have rent controls. So again, being in a premium area, as we don't know what interest rates are going to do, we don't know what house prices are going to do, but we can be fairly certain that rental rates are going to go up over the next 5 years, say.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. I think, Hamilton's seeing a lot of immigration. The city's putting a lot of money, investors are putting a lot of money into it. So the city's growing, and those good pockets in the city are going to grow the fastest typically. So that's going to really help with your rents. And when you've got 2 out of the 3 units that have no rent controls, it's really nice because you're going to get the premium tenants, and then you're going to be able to keep them at market rents. So
that's really cool. So let's go outside and show you a little bit of the backyard, and specifically where this sort of triplex conversion strategy can play out if we were to put a garden suite in this property. So now we're in the back of this property. So it has a gorgeous backyard, decent lot size, which is perfect for adding a third unit as a garden suite. The thing that I found most interesting just coming here for the first time today is that you can actually add a garden suite just behind over there, such that you create an L-shaped structure, and instead of it being a detached unit, you can actually have it attached. Right? So I guess people may be wondering, wouldn't it be better as a detached versus an attached? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. I mean, I think as a detached unit, you may get a little bit higher rent just because it's fully detached. That being said, from a resale and a refinance side perspective, it's much better for it to be attached, at least where we currently are in 2023. Right now, lenders aren't really recognizing the detached unit as a unit and for the income purposes. So whether you're going to refinance, they're basically just going to refinance it as a really nice garage, may use some of the income, but it won't be the same as if it was a fully attached unit. And when you go to sell it, we also have to consider that as well, because the ultimate buyer is likely going to be financing it. And so if they're only able to finance 2 of the 3 units, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to buy it. But if we make it attached, then we're going to have no problems just financing as a standard triplex.
And I think this is where it really differs between being an investor versus being a homeowner. If you're living in the property, you have equity in the property, make it detached, give yourself the privacy, put a fence between the 2, right?
Yeah.
But if you're looking at it as an investment, or specifically in the short term on the resale, attached is the way to go, because if you want buyers who are getting a mortgage, like, they need to be able to get that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've been talking, I think especially with the builders for these detached units, as well as with our lender partners, and it's coming that they're going to be able to start doing it, but we don't know when. So when we're doing something like this and you want to have the most exit strategies available, it makes the most sense to kind of play it a little bit safer and have it attached to the house.
Yeah, and talk us through one of the other exit strategies, which is, flipping this property.
Yeah.
What do some of the numbers look like if this investor decides to go down that path?
For sure. So again, we bought it for $760. If someone was going to put between, say 125 to 150 into it, they're going to be all in for about 900. Right now we're seeing duplex sales in this area over $1 million. So we got at least 100,000 spread on that. So even after you're paying land transfer tax and all your other fees, you're still making a pretty penny on a quick flip. That being said, we always recommend having multiple exit strategies because we don't know what the market's going to do. Market could very well go better and he makes 200, but market could also go worse. And we know that if the market does go worse, the rental market is likely going to stay still very strong because of the demand, and he'll be able to rent it out and to a later time when he can sell it for that nice profit. Yeah.
And again, we're not huge fans on flipping properties, but if you can flip a property where you have those multiple exits, if it makes sense to sell because the market recovers, great, exit that way. And if it doesn't, you have the ability to hold on to the property. You have staying power.
For sure.
And, we've seen investors, really leverage themselves up and be in positions where they weren't able to hold. That is always painful. And, this is a much better way to have, peace of mind when going into an investment property.
For sure.
Right?
Like, I think anytime you're going into investment, to have multiple exit strategies is really big because one, you don't know what the market's going to do.
Yeah.
Two, you don't know what's going to happen in your life. Right.
Yeah.
So even if you're buying something from, reversing that, like you're buying it for a long-term perspective and then something happens, right? Maybe you have twins or you do something like this where you need a little bit of extra capital.
Yeah.
If you do have that spread built in where you can flip it and you're like, you know what, we should did all that work. You made a little bit of money. The investment still really worked out for you, even if your plan was to hold it. Having those multiple exit strategies really just allows you to be a prudent investor and kind of win at all costs. Because we've talked about a lot, like, real estate's about surviving the tough times. When
100%.
times are good, everybody makes money and everybody's happy, but what can wipe you out is those tough times. So if you've got multiple exit strategies and you can really weather the storm, if there is one, that's what's going to allow you to build wealth through real estate.
Awesome. So yeah, I think this is a great property. Like it's always nice when you can get a higher quality property and still make the numbers work. I just think long-term, a property like this is really going to be worth something, right?
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're interested in investing in real estate, definitely check out our free beginner's guide to creating a legal basement apartment. And if you're interested in working with our team, definitely reach out. The link is in the comments below. Until next time, all the best.